Coming up on Lexington Now, a new radio system for public safety, the We Care Movement Phase 2, and driver education for teens. This and more up next on this week's edition of Lexington Now. I'm Sherelle Roberts, and welcome to another edition of Lexington Now, where we take a look at the news that shapes your urban county government. In the case of a disaster, whether it's a fire, a plane crash, or just an everyday event, the police, the fire department, the sheriff's office, and the airport can all communicate with each other seamlessly. That's great news, but it hasn't always been that way.
Today, Lexington is taking a really important step forward in public safety. And it is all about responding to emergencies. It is all about fighting crime. We are installing a digital radio system that will allow seamless emergency communication among first responders, including police, fire, corrections, and our partner at Bluegrass Airport. This system will cover 98% of the county and have coverage inside most buildings. Now, this is a first for our city. And what are these firsts? Well, it's the first time in our history we've had this level of radio communication among our first responders, saving critical seconds when they matter the most and helping to fight crime. It's the first time we've been able to communicate across much of the county. And since Lexington is a merged government, our city limits stretch to the county line, meaning our radio system has to cover a lot of ground when compared to other cities. Police, corrections, enhanced 911, and the airport are already using the new radio system, and fire will come on later this year. So, congratulations to Commissioner Mason, to Robert Stack, and our local team. They've been working several years to get this radio system in place. Thanks especially to Fire Battalion Chief Paul C. and Airport Public Safety Chief Scott Lanter for their work on this project. And they've done it all with an emphasis on cost savings and an eye on efficiency and quality. And thanks to their leadership, a price tag of $10 million that could have been $17 million, and still the highest quality system. As we all know, public safety is on the minds of many of our citizens these days. There's been an uptick in violence, and people are rightfully concerned. Today we are talking about strengthening the infrastructure we use to keep the public safe. These radios are significant, but they are just one of many improvements we're making. Just for context, since 2011, we have increased the public safety budget by $25 million in the city. This year, it accounts for 55% of the budget and altogether a 17% increase since 2011. We've hired 137 police officers. 17 recruits graduated just Friday from training and became part of our police force. And a new recruit class is ready. We've hired 111 firefighters, started a new training class with 41 recruits last month, and there are plans for more this year. This year we are also adding 15 corrections officers, and we purchased new equipment. In March, the council agreed to spend $6.5 million on public safety equipment. And many of you may have noticed, like I did over the weekend, where firefighters were washing a new emergency medical buggy at station number 21, and there are plans for more. So yes, public safety is the most important job we have here at City Hall. It is our number one core value. And today, this is another milestone, another step forward in making a safer Lexington.
Paul Newman in an iconic movie, Cool Hand Luke, was confronted with a real iconic quote by Strother Martin. What we have here is failure to communicate. We don't have to worry about that anymore in this community with our public safety partners. What we did was dismantle some historic institutional silos and are communicating at a level amongst public safety that has never been achieved before in this community. The leadership that's been brought here together has accomplished this, as you've heard, with significant cost savings. So I would just like to thank this team again for everything that they've done, and going forward, I'm sure it's going to continue to be a great success.
For more information about the radio system, you can log on to the city's website, lexingtonky.gov. Well, according to the Fayette County Attorney's Office, your teenage years are when you just start to live. But sadly, it's also the time when many young people, 16 to 19, will be killed in car crashes. And that's why the Office of the Fayette County Attorney is working to help teach your teens how to drive safely on the road.
There are 260 teenagers who die every month in the United States on our highways, 260 every month. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death in the United States for teenagers between the age of 16 and 19. Every year in this country, there are over 24,000 people who die on the highways in the United States. To put that number in perspective, that's like Rupp Arena when UK is playing North Carolina, that's 23,000 people dead in a year. Every single year this happens. And I don't ever hear a big clamor about this throughout our nation from the people that live in the country, from the legislators, from the senators, from the people that run education. I don't hear a big clamor about this huge amount of death that's going on here. I believe that this society that we're a part of is a very complacent society on this point, and I think something needs to be done about it. A recent report that was nationally televised was that Kentucky is ranked 49th out of 50 as the worst state to have the highest number of teenage deaths. That's a terrible statistic, a terrible statistic. And I believe our city and our school system in Lexington should do something about it just for our little microcosm of the world, because they don't get driver education in our school system anymore. And to put a teenager on the road who has no clue of what a 4,000-pound monster will do is not right. You can ask any teenager alive, how many feet does it take to stop a car going 80 miles an hour, and they will tell you 10 feet, 20 feet. No, it's over a football field and a half. They don't understand it, and neither do adults. But we're talking about teenagers. This needs to be changed, in my opinion, and we've been working at this for about 6 years now, and we have the proof that shows that we have that problem. There are probably 1,500 wrecks a year in Lexington caused by teenage drivers. Now, in 2011, I went to Mayor Gray. He got elected, and I went to him and I asked him, would you let us begin a driving program for teenagers, a defensive driving program, on the driving pad, which is right over here, which is the old sanitation garbage fill. And he said, absolutely, when we told him what we were going to do. Billy Fryer, who's with me here, is my lead instructor. He has organized this entire program of defensive driving. And Jim Gray got on board with us and allowed us to use the pad in conjunction with the garbage truck drivers and everybody else. We had such a huge response in 2011 when we started this class, which is 5 days in a row, 4 hours a day, so that's 20 hours of instruction. We had a huge response, and we got overwhelmed with the amount of people who wanted on and our ability to use that pad. I have maintained from the beginning of this thing that I'm never going to ask Jim Gray or the city for any money. We're not going to get a federal grant. We're not going to get state aid. We do this with donations from this community, both corporate and private individuals. State Farm has given us a tremendous amount of money every year to help run this program. Rick Avar with Toyota Nicholasville gives us brand new cars so these students can drive. That eliminates that cost. We have donations from Mr. and Mrs. W.T. Young, which are very substantial, that have helped us with this program. And we're going to continue to do that. We have a grant that allows kids who can't afford the fee that we charge, which is $200, we'll give them a discount. Toyota has given us that money to help pay for that, and we do that. So we started in 2011, and this week, this young man is the 500th student who's going to graduate in this class. This is Keith Guy. He's a Georgetown, Scott County student. And I wanted to honor him today, but to tell the community what's going on here. So in 4 years, we've graduated 500 kids, and in 4 more years, we'll get probably 2,000 total. But hopefully the city and the school board will take this over and start teaching driver education.
Larry, thanks a lot. Thanks for your vision. So, like Larry said, when he came to me 4 years ago and said, this is a program that we need in our city, this is a big deal, Larry, and I want to do all I can. Our city wants to do all we can to support you. County Attorney already mentioned Keith Guy, big guy here, plays football at Scott County High School, running back, and he's the 500th young driver to take the Fayette County Attorney's driver education program. Now, Larry's already gone over a lot of this, but let me punctuate it a little bit. This program is making our teenagers safer and our roads safer. Each year, there are 1,500 collisions in Lexington involving young drivers. That's 1,500 involving just young drivers. And for parents, that's a number that produces anxiety and distress and tension. So by working with our young drivers and improving their ability to drive defensively and avoid accidents, our county attorney is trying to reduce those numbers. And I also want to congratulate and acknowledge Billy Fryer. Billy's a former police officer. He knows these issues. He knows them. He's the lead instructor here. And the private sponsors I also want to thank for supporting this really creative program. As it continues to grow, it's going to be a program that helps keep our teenagers safer, our children safer, and our roads safer.
By me being a new and young driver, it's going to have me very cautious on the roads, and it's going to make me to be very defensive. It's just not by me driving, but the other people driving in my surroundings. And it's going to help me to use all the abilities that a car will bring to my advantage if I do get in a car crash or anything like that.
For additional information about these driving classes and how your teens can get involved, go to the Fayette County Attorney's website. It's easy to remember, FayetteCountyAttorney.com. And coming up after the break, we'll tell you how neighbors and community leaders are joining forces to help stop community violence.
Currently, we have an injury collision, Nicholasville Road at Manowar Boulevard. This is Crosstown Traffic on Government Television Channel 3, a service of your Lexington Fayette Urban County government. Currently, we have a stalled vehicle at Waller Avenue at Harrisburg Road.
Welcome back to the show. The Lexington Division of Police, along with community members, is kicking off phase 2 of its We Care program. You may remember this initiative, We Care, Our Community, Our Future, was launched last year after a series of violent incidents. And this year, unfortunately, we are seeing a repeat in some of that violence. So city leaders, concerned parents, and clergy are joining forces to take back the streets.
First of all, I'd like to say that we care at the Division of Police. The Antonio Franklin Jr. Project cares. These individuals standing behind me, they care, such as Mayor Jim Gray, Sheriff Kathy Witt, Commander Kim Armstrong, Glenn Brown, Richard Maloney, Pastor Polk, Clay Mason, Reverend Owens, Ron Watson, Councilman Chris Ford, Anita Franklin, community leaders, Pastor Max Apple, and Pastor Keith Tyler. These individuals have come out today because they really care about the things that are happening in our community. And that's what this Peace Walks is about. It's togetherness, it's unity, showing that we can make a difference in our community. So, July the 12th at 6 p.m., right here in Duncan Park, we want to see you. Walk with us, be with us, and be together. We have other dates as well, the 19th, the 26th, and August the 2nd. And if you can't make it down here, we would appreciate, cut your porch light on. Turn your nights into days. Just sit on your porch and remember us as we walk through our neighborhoods to make a difference.
I'd like to thank everyone that has come out today to support our mission. Our main mission is to rebuild, restore our community. We have got to take back our community. Our children need us, they want us, and I am asking anyone that has children to please come out and participate in our marches. This coming Saturday, it's open to the community. Next week, we're going to focus on the children. The following march will be for our community leaders. The final march will be for the entire Lexington community as one. I encourage anyone with any suggestions. We're open. I appreciate you and I thank you. Let's get better and do it together.
Rasan, thank you. Anita, thank you. One of the nurses told Anita after Antonio was fatally wounded, said that staying silent's not the answer. Isn't that right, Anita?
That's correct.
That speaking out and being vocal works towards a solution. So Anita started an organization to stop gun violence and to teach children how to stay safe. And that organization's called Let's Get Better. And right out here a few weeks ago, she gave me this memory band. And she also gave me a wind chime, which reflected and represented her son's life and the challenges that we have, but yet the spirit of going forward. We know that she's not alone, and everyone here today represents that. In a sense, healing, but also dealing with challenges and dealing with problems. Reverend Willis Pope told me some time ago, and he's here, he said, you know, Jim, he said, we didn't create this world, and we won't solve all of its problems, but we got to work on them. And as Rasan just said, working on those problems means coming together, acknowledging, working as community. Getting better means that we work together. And that's what these We Care Peace Walks are all about. So Anita and Rasan and really everybody who's here today, thank you. Thanks for your leadership. A big part of healing and addressing any issues is acknowledging them. And that's what community is really all about. If we look at history, throughout history, if it's a short slice of time or if it's a long slice of time, America has been about addressing and dealing with problems. And sometimes it's painful and it's difficult at the time, but that's what leadership is about. And leadership is not just these people standing up here. Leadership is everyone here in this audience today who's taken the time to be here and to participate. And it's the people in your audience, in our city, who care. And that's why the theme of this is inspiring. We care. It's not cliche. What it is, it says that we are a community. We're about humanity, and we're about working together to address issues and challenges. What this is about is taking the moment that we have, even adversity, and using that moment to come together, to examine what we can do better. In many respects, you know, the members of this clergy here know this better than anybody, and I said it earlier. We didn't create this world. We won't solve all of its problems, but often through adversity, we are able to find the resolve and a sense of community to work on those problems. And I don't think anyone has the illusion that change occurs overnight. But what we do have is the conviction that we can work together in a spirit of unity, in a spirit of acknowledging these issues, and we can then make, over time, improvements.
Good morning, everybody. To Sergeant Berry, to everybody that's here, to Mayor Gray, to the clergy here present, I stand here in support on behalf of the council and our community and pay tribute to what our Division of Police is trying to do. They're trying to build a bond with our community, and I'm going to ask our community to, in turn, work with our police department, work with our church leaders, work with our community organizations. To Ms. Franklin, to many of the mothers and families who've suffered loss, but who are lending their courage to take us forward, I think it's incumbent upon our community to in turn lend support to their efforts. As we're standing here in Duncan Park, which is perhaps geographically the center core of our town, I commit that there are no boundaries to this movement, to the We Care movement, and that violence anywhere in our city impacts neighborhoods throughout our city. So Mayor Gray, I know, will agree with me that we should spare no resource or energy in support of this initiative and other initiatives in our city. And again, we thank everybody for being here to work on this problem together.
For additional information about the We Care movement and how you can get involved, you can log on to the city's website. That's lexingtonky.gov. You can also get additional information on the police page. It's also at lexingtonky.gov. Well, summertime means the warm weather, and it's a great time to get out there and enjoy all that the good weather has to offer. But criminals are also looking to take advantage of this good weather by breaking into cars. Here are some things you need to know to help keep yourself from becoming a victim of car break-ins, or as the police call them, LFAs, larceny from autos.
It doesn't matter if your car is a classic, a Cadillac, or a clunker. It could easily be a target for criminals. That's if you're not taking the proper steps to protect it.
Some people, that's how they make their living. They'll break into a car because it's easy for them. They can just walk by, look around. It's almost like window shopping to somebody.
Officer Stephen Gahn says the simplest things can lure crooks to your car.
Purses, nice sunglasses, loose change in the cup holder or on the floorboard. If they see something they like, then they can break in and get it, and that's easy money for them.
Easy money is something many are looking to come by in these tough economic times. In fact, last month, more than 300 cars were broken into in Lexington. And many times, those items are pawned.
There are other times when someone has actually asked them, do you know somebody that might be selling this? And they'll specifically look at cars for that particular item so they can sell it on a one-on-one basis.
The The truth about LFAs or larceny from autos can be frightening, but you can do things to protect yourself.
Locking the doors is the #1 way to stop most LFAs.
It may sound simple, but locking your doors is the key to prevention, says Gauntz.
If they walk by and they check the door handle and the door opens on them, then they can root through the car and look for anything they want.
But if it is locked, most criminals would see it as too much work to steal from.
Some people wouldn't take the extra step to break the glass out or try to jimmy the door open.
But don't underestimate the bad guys, says Gauntz. They have sort of a sixth sense for detecting a crime opportunity, especially when it comes to electronics like GPSs.
Even though the GPS may be taken down and the mount is removed from the vehicle, a lot of times thieves still know that you've had a GPS or some type of mount in the car, because on the windshield it will actually leave a ring on the windshield.
Officer Gauntz says remove all trace of dust rings and suction cup rings, and then remove any other items from your car.
Hide valuables. Don't leave valuables sitting in a car seat, on your dash. Even though you think it's not very valuable, like the loose change on the floorboard, that is still one reason that someone will try to break into the car.
And one last tip to remember as you're getting out of your car, be sure to take one last look. Make sure you didn't leave anything on the seats, so that way you won't be an easy target.
And for additional information about how you can protect your car and your property, go on over to the police page. It's at lexingtonky.gov. And speaking of cars, when you hop in your car, especially in the morning, you want to know what you're going to be facing on that morning commute. Don't worry, the Division of Government Communications has got you covered with our show, Crosstown Traffic. The show airs live weekday mornings from 6:30 to 8:30 and gives you the most up-to-date traffic news and even a street view with our live camera so you can see what the delays are before you even leave the house. Remember, that's Crosstown Traffic only on GTV3. Now, here's a look at this week's lane closure report. And remember, you can get traffic updates 24/7 by following us on Twitter. Our handle is @LexRex. For the past few weeks, our schedule has been packed with meetings, so we're glad to say it's a bit of a slower week here in the Urban County government. Here's a quick look at what's on the schedule. But for a complete listing of meetings and events, log on to the city's website, lexingtonky.gov. That's all for this edition of Lexington Now. We'll return next week with more news from your Urban County government. But in the meantime, you can keep up with what we're doing by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. For the staff and producers at GTV3, I'm Sherelle Roberts, and that's it for now.